This is my family tree. This is me, and this is 3 generations up. I know almost everyone in my family tree except for this one person, my maternal grandfather. You see, he was adopted, and all he knew is that he was born in Borneo, he could have been Indian, and he might have some Dayak blood, but we all really didn't know for sure. So I've always wondered about this side of my family tree. Today, a simple cheek swab promises to reveal where my ancestors are from. In this episode of Talking Point, I delve into the world of direct-to-consumer genetic test kits. I want to find out if they're really worth my money. To start off, I've got some surprising revelations for my fellow Talking Point hosts.
I made it!
Yeah.
How are you? Nice to see your faces.
2 weeks ago, we all took a DNA ancestry test.
I'm excited. Let's see what happens.
My DNA results are in your hands.
There we go.
I've got the results of your DNA test.
Okay.
But before we get into this, right, I want to find out more about what you know about your ancestry. Have you ever thought about that before?
I know that both my grandfathers were Arabs, but my mom's mom is Chinese and my dad's mom is Indonesian, but we never quite know where she came from.
For me, it's just, I think my grandparents were from Malaysia, from Penang actually. So from what I know, they're kind of Peranakan, you know.
Mine is probably boring. I mean, my grandparents are all from India.
Okay.
And my
That's
parents...
not boring.
No, but
Yeah.
no, I mean, I'm pretty sure there's nothing else, or at least I'm not expecting anything else.
My maternal grandfather, we don't know where he's from because he was adopted. So there's this big mystery lurking in my family. I have the results right here.
Okay, take a look.
Oh my gosh.
Are you excited to get your results
Very
back?
excited.
Sharda, please.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Shrey. All right, let's take a look at our results.
Oh! I am 60% Chinese.
Wow.
Did you expect that?
No! I expected to have more Middle Eastern, but I'm only at 21.9%. And then I have 7.7% South Asian. Southeast Asian is 5.14%. So a little bit Vietnamese also. 4.3% African and no European at all.
No, you're
But yeah, but on my IC it says Arab.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I need to change
think
that.
time to change.
Time
huh?
to change.
And Steve, you are 95% Chinese.
95% Chinese, about 3% Vietnamese. I have 0.85% African,
Sorry, what?
but no European, no Middle Eastern, all that is 0.
Shrey.
I am stumped. It turns out I have 3.08% Chinese in me. Oh. And it's a northern minority, so I guess perhaps India, China, there must have been someone in some ancestor
Right.
must have just
What
followed.
are your results again? The bulk of it is.
Bulk of it is 96.92% South Asian, which is what I expected.
What about you, Sharda?
I am South Asian 31.5. That makes sense because my grandfather is the mystery. He could have been Indian from Borneo or something. And 25% European, which makes sense because my dad is half English. So there's Eastern European, Southern European, Northern European. So that part is surprising because like, wow, I got so many types of European. I'm German, Dutch. Just like that, with a few kits bought online, information about our ancestry was revealed to us. It seems almost too good to be true. But how is that few drops of saliva can reveal my ethnic makeup? In order to understand the science behind genetic testing, I must first learn about the basic building blocks of life. DNA. This is a cell. The human body is made out of trillions of it. Inside these cells are chromosomes, which are tightly wound strands of DNA. DNA is the material that carries all the information that dictates how a living thing like you and me will look and function. Carissa Lynn works at the Science Center and she teaches visitors how DNA works.
Oh, so what do we have here? All these colors.
So Sharda, so we're going to make a DNA model.
Ah.
Now, how many colors do you see?
Oh, I see 4 colors.
Yep, that's right. So these 4 colors represent adenine, cytosine, guanine, and thymine.
Also known as ACGT. Think of them as the building blocks or the base of our DNA. Our genes make up our DNA.
We have about 20,000 genes in our body. A gene is a segment of your DNA that codes for a specific protein or part of a protein. Now, these proteins are the workhorses in our body. Some of them will give rise to certain traits or characteristics that we can see.
Right.
And we're going to twist it around.
Ooh. This is one DNA strand.
That's right.
So the information that comes from these genes, then how do genes give us information about our family ancestry?
So 50% of your DNA is from your father and 50% of your DNA is from your mother. So if we are related, your DNA will be more similar compared to someone who is not related. You can also tell from your DNA as to whether you are more likely to get a certain health condition.
My DNA holds the secrets not only to my ancestry, but also to my present and future health risks.
This calls for another test. One which will help me lead my best life now and in the future. A DNA test that can detect potential diseases.
I'm actually quite nervous about getting my results back.
Before I uncover the secrets of my own DNA, I want to know what it's like to open Pandora's box. And this is the person to tell me all about it. Since 2020, Elaine Hang has been stepping up her fitness regime.
Wow, it's quite an intense workout. Do you do this often?
I don't do this often back then, but now I try to go to the gym at least twice a week.
Why was there a sudden lifestyle change when it comes to exercise?
And I did 2 DNA tests. It tells you about your health risks, of course, ancestry, and the health risk part was quite shocking.
Would you be able to share some of your results with me?
Sure, come. This is one of the DNA test results that came back. For me, both tests actually showed that my genes are more susceptible to breast cancer, as well as osteoporosis.
Frankly, I would be quite nervous.
No, I'm not like super worried about this because to worry about, wow, all this health risks, I'll be too worried to do anything.
Right.
Yeah, I don't want to overwhelm myself with the results.
Is it because of osteoporosis that you chose to focus on your body?
Yeah, and I actually added in like weights training because it will help to increase the bone density. I've actually added like supplements into my diet, especially antioxidants.
Would you have made all these lifestyle changes had you not taken these DNA tests?
I guess I wouldn't, because I wouldn't have thought that, I'm susceptible to certain diseases or cancer, if not for the DNA tests.
Like Elaine, I'd also like to know what the future holds, which is why I've taken almost 2,000 Singapore dollars worth of DNA tests to test for a cancer screening, risks for common diseases like cholesterol and hypertension, my body's ability to metabolize and absorb nutrients, as well as how my body and brain will age. I ordered 2 test kits, one from Circle DNA and one from Ori. I chose Circle DNA because it is one of the most well-known brands on the market and offers one of the most comprehensive tests for diseases. I chose Ori because their tests are focused on fitness, beauty, and longevity. Okay, here we go again. It's cool to think that a few cells from my cheek, which only takes 5 seconds to collect, can unlock all my health information.
But as I wait for my results, I come across some troubling information about commercial DNA test kits.
How can that? I don't know how to feel about this.
Yeah.
I'm shocked.
Did I inadvertently put my health information at risk?
Weeks ago, I took 2 separate home genetic tests that promised to reveal, among other things, my risks of cancer and other diseases, the best diet for me, as well as how my body and brain will age. The test results are finally in.
This is the first time I'm viewing my report.
Results are on the table in front of you. So what result are you most anxious about?
I'm definitely anxious about things that have to do with diseases like cancer or heart disease. So I really am most worried about cancer. So I'm just gonna go and look for the cancer markers here. Bladder cancer, no cancer causing. Brain cancer, no. Breast cancer, no. Wow, I'm surprised. I thought I was gonna have breast cancer. So far, all good. No gastrointestinal stromal tumor, no kidney cancer. I have no cancer-causing mutation!
But I rejoiced too soon.
What exactly is hypertriglyceridemia? Okay, hold on. I got to Google this. Hypertriglyceridemia. It's a condition in which triglyceride levels are elevated. It is often caused by exacerbated by uncontrolled diabetes, obesity, sedentary habits. Yeah, actually my grandpa died of a heart attack. But I work out a lot and I'm very aware of my diet and what I eat, so I'm not that scared of a heart attack. I am now at family planning and it says that I'm at risk for alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency. What is that? Alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency is an inherited disorder that may cause lung disease and liver disease,
also known as AAT deficiency. It is one of the most common serious hereditary disorders passed down from parents to children.
So now I'm going to look at the other report. It says that I could be susceptible to losing my memory, that it may decline faster. This test here, it says my life longevity is like average. So that means I could live up to what, like 70, 80. But in this one, it says I have a high potential, which means I'm going to live even longer.
I'm beginning to see some discrepancies in the results between the 2 kids. And there are more to come.
Okay, so now I'm going to look for power and sleep quality. Here. So I have an elevated genetic predisposition risk for poor sleep quality. But in this report, it says a completely different thing. I am at no risk for anything to do with sleep. There are some conflicting information results in both these DNA kits. The source has remained the same. They are cells from my cheek. So how can 2 different reports have different results in certain areas? What a nice office you have.
Geneticist Dr. Chin Hui Lin studies how human genes interact with each other and how they evolve and duplicate. I want to know how reliable my DNA test kit results are.
I have my results in here. So I'm very relieved to find out that I don't have any of the cancer-causing mutations. Does this mean that I don't have to worry about cancer for the rest of my life?
while I am happy that you did not test positive for any cancer-causing mutation covered in the test, it does not replace a full clinical examination and history, and it also does not mean that you do not ever need to access cancer surveillance in your lifetime. Full assessment would entail a history where the doctor asks you about your genetic and non-genetic factors. Non-genetic factors might include lifestyle, your own medical history. Certain clinical tests covers the full range of genes that you could be at risk of. What is covered on a direct-to-consumer genetic test varies from lab to lab. So each direct-consumer test laboratory selects particular variants that they want to test for in particular genes.
And there are many different variants.
Yes. So certain direct-to-consumer labs may only cover a few variants, 3 variants or so of the more common ones within this large range of variation that can contribute to disease.
Right. Now I'm worried again. I think I need to come to you for full cancer surveillance. So there were 2 different diseases that I'm at risk for. Elevated risk for hyperhomocystinemia and hypertriglyceridemia. So should I be worried about these?
So direct-to-consumer genetic tests are susceptible to false positive and false negative test results. And this is because they may not be tightly regulated and they may not be susceptible to tight quality control standards. So I would urge you to consider a clinical consultation to assess your complete risks for these disorders.
I noticed that there was discrepancies in my test results between the 2 genetic test kits, right? Can I trust these results?
So what you're describing is not unusual. Many users of direct-to-consumer tests have described similar findings. This lies in the differences in the selection of what is covered for a particular trait that will differ from lab to lab. So gene variants are common in all of us, and some protect us from certain disease or health conditions or traits, and some predispose us to certain health conditions or traits. We may not fully understand their interaction with other things in our life, like lifestyle, environment, diet, and exercise as well. What goes into these reports is not regulated, so each lab will decide on their own which genetic variants we will test for to attribute to a particular trait. And this will vary from lab to lab. And that would be, to some extent, why you are seeing vast differences. Direct-to-consumer genetic tests are recreational, so we're really just doing it for fun. Before we institute any of these findings towards our health-related decisions or lifestyle-related decisions, I would definitely consult a doctor and consider clinical testing.
A gene variant is a change in your genes that gives you your unique traits. They occur throughout your entire DNA. Most companies are not able to test a person's complete set of DNA as it is just too expensive. Reliability issues aside, there's also this. Genetic testing companies in both the UK and the US have been the targets of cyber attacks, with breaches of personal information and genetic data targeted by foreign hackers. What exactly have I exposed myself to by giving a company access to my DNA? Cybersecurity expert Steven Chia breaks it down for me.
I've drafted out 2 terms and conditions from these DNA testing companies. Maybe we can take a look at it together.
I didn't actually read all the terms and conditions.
Over here it says that genetic data deletion, all right? Upon confirmation of your request, the company shall delete your genetic data from their data storage systems within 90 days. So basically what it's saying to you is that it's going to remove your data, all right, from their data storage space within 90 days. So that's
okay. Good,
that's
right?
good. That's
yeah.
good. At least it points out the fact that they're going to delete your information. Now we're going to take a look at another company. Over here, can I have my DNA sequence anonymously? All right, it says yes, it can. So overall, I think that's good. At least they anonymize you.
So I really want to know, what are my risks of the company holding onto my samples and results?
Well, I think the key risk would be, how are these companies handling your data? Because this data, it's similar to your health data. It's very private.
But who would want my genetic information?
That's where we're going to dive in a little bit into the dark web. I'm keying your email address right now. And over here, we have found that you have a leaked email address with your password online.
My password is online.
Yes, your password is online. So what this means is that if there is a malicious threat acted, all right, and I want to sign in into, for example, this account that you have with one of the programs you use, I can start taking or making use of your programs without you knowing. Now, imagine if that is your DNA, right?
Yeah.
What can they do with your DNA, for example? Find other related family members' information. For example, a health insurance. If your DNA information is leaked out or is sold in bundles, and the scary part is that if that company, insurance for example, they can actually get your information and actually could refuse a payout because of maybe they found that in your DNA you have pre-existing conditions, for example, and probably refuse a payout.
That's a very sobering thought, right? I can change my passwords every week if I wanted to, but I can't change who I am, I can't change my DNA. And that is the one thing I need to protect.
Yes.
And yet, it's so vulnerable once it's out there on the dark web.
I contacted the two companies whose kits I purchased and used, Circle DNA and Ori. Both said their tests are non-diagnostic, meaning they are not intended to replace professional medical advice. When it comes to protecting our genetic data, Ori promises that all of it is encrypted, while Circle DNA ensures that the data is kept anonymous. The companies added they do not sell, lease, or rent their customers' data to any third party. And on the discrepancies in some parts of the report, both companies acknowledge that it's because they may analyze different genetic markers, which may lead to varying interpretation of results.
So, are home genetic tests worth your money? If you're prepared to learn some facts about your health, and if you understand clearly how your genetic data is being used, then these test kits are a fun, painless way to get medical information that could help you adopt some healthy routines. But remember to read the terms of service.